host of the Gridiron.
I've seen this. Derek Carr. I'm not sure if he's been linked to the Giants or, sometimes what it is you wind up having, there's somebody out there, one of the writers, beat writers, or whatever it is. They come up with, something. Let me get something that'll get some clicks for me. Let me get something that'll read my articles for me or something like that, right? So I'll just come up with it. The Giants would be a good fit for so-and-so, right? And he starts typing that in there, right? And people start reading his art, and all that. Idiots like me start reading his articles and all that stuff and everything. So it's not so much he's been linked. Somebody actually just wrote a report, that he would be a good fit. I think it would be a nice fit. I tell you what, the Saints, they're in a lot of trouble. They're about, where is it here? No, that's ahead of here somewhere. Oh, maybe I clicked out of there. They were about $50 million over the cap. and Derek Carr has cost them about $50 million next season. I mean, so the Saints are in a lot of trouble. I mean, there's a lot of trouble. So I don't know what they're going to do. Not the Carr is a bad player or not like that, but he's just not the answer. He's not going to take him to the promised land. So the best thing to do, we just try to get rid of him as soon as possible, get rid of his salary, wipe it clean from the boards, right? And just try to start over, find a quarter or something, right? And move forward, because they're in a lot of trouble. The Saints are, and they're not that good of a team. So we got this. As I said, we got Giants connected to the new trade avenue for $150 million quarterback. Now it's not connected. It's that somebody want to probably. I don't know who it was. I'm sure somebody wrote an article. Sorry, buddy. Ooh, my legs. Oh my God. Here we go. Oh, all right. So secret, the Giants' entire 2025 offseason could hinge upon one decision: who will be the quarterback. ESPN New York Giant beat reporter Jordan Raanan discussed the massive quarterback decision on January 23rd, and he connected the Giants to a new veteran option that profiles as a potential trade, possibly Jordan Raanan. The trade avenue could be also an option. Oh, yeah, absolutely. I mean, the Giants could draft a quarterback. They can draft one early. They can draft one later. They can go out and get wait for a free agent, sign Darnold for maybe 35 or 40 million. They can get somebody a lot cheaper, like maybe a Justin Fields, or they could trade for somebody, right? Future of Derek Carr in New Orleans is one that could come into question. Now, Carr is still, let me say, what is he, 33? Oh, my God, yeah. 33, so he'll be 34 this upcoming season. Okay? Yeah, so, I mean, in quarterback years, that jump. The future of Derek Carr in New Orleans is one that could come into question. Nothing should be ruled out. Although Carr's possible release from the Saints has been talked about around the NFL and New York Giants communities, there's been nothing substantial on the front so far. And in order to cut the veteran signal caller, Saints general manager Mickey Loomis would have to take a $50 million plus dead cap charge in 2025 or designate Carr as a post-June 1 release. With that in mind, a guy named Matthew Paras, maybe, explained why a post-June 1st cut may not be a wise decision for the Saints on January 23rd. Saints could look to massage that cap hit by spreading it across 2 seasons instead of one with a post-June 1st cap release. But that gets complicated when factoring in the team's other salary cap constraints. Currently projected to be more than 60 million. Wow. They're projected to be more than 60 million. Well, I think right now they're at 50, I think. But then if you got to throw their draft class in there, that could put them up maybe around 60 million. Over. Saints have to become cap compliant by the start of the new league year in March. If the Saints want to designate Carr as a post-June 1st cut, they'd be required to carry his full cap figure on the books until then. Alas, trading Carr ahead of June 1st and saving $11.326 million worth of cap space in 2025 would be the New Orleans' most logical solution, assuming the Saints decide to rebuild. And still, the Saints head coach decision could determine if Derek Carr becomes available for the Giants. Now, right? They've had Kafka come in there a couple times too, right? Carr would profile as a solid bridge candidate for head coach Brian Daboll and the Giants amid a weak draft year and free agency class at that position. Granted, Carr is no superstar, but he's been a competent NFL quarterback. Yes, he has. That has thrown for over 41,000 yards and 250 plus touchdowns on his career. Now, I'm going to go over some of his stats, and right, enough to stabilize Big Blue as this regime looks to prove they can build sustained success, but not enough to get them over the playoff hump in all likelihood. Still, 1 or 2 decent years of Carr could serve as a lifeboat for Daboll and general manager Joe Schoen, and that alone might entice them into trading for him. Unfortunately, it takes 2 to tango, and the Saints have not displayed an urgency to trade him so far. Having said that, the new head coaching hire could determine Carr's fate in New Orleans. Depending on who the Saints eventually bring in, a new head coach could pitch Loomis on a clean break from Carr. This could especially be the case if New Orleans hires an offensive-minded coach. Ironically, current Giants offense coordinator Mike Kafka appears to be one of the finalists in the Saints head coaching search. Saints quarterback Derek Carr is willing to restructure his contract, but will not agree to take a pay cut. After the season, Carr told ESPN Saints reporter Catherine Terrell point blank that he wouldn't take a pay cut. However, he did note that he would be willing to restructure his contract, which typically pushes the cap hit down the road a few years. According to Overcap, the Saints could save nearly $31 million in 2025 cap space by restructuring Carr's deal, which sounds great in theory, but a move like this would further handicap New Orleans in the future, which is true. The Saints already restructured Carr's contract last offseason, and doing so again would only further increase the 2026 cap hit, already north of $61 million. So his cap hit this year is 50, next year it's 60. Still, if the Saints want to keep Carr, restructuring his contract could go a long way in helping them become cap compliant this offseason. Paras, whatever his name is, went on by converting all but 2 of the 1.2 league minimum of Carr's $30 million contract and his $10 million roster bonus. According to Overcap, the Saints would save almost $31 million from its books, but doing so would make Carr's 2026 cap figure almost over $69 million. $19.2 million in 2027 and $13.5 in 2028. Carr's contract, too, voids after 2026. The Giants were to trade for Carr, they'd likely be taking on a large financial commitment, something the Giants really can't afford. In 2020, large commitment in 2026 and lesser cap commitments in 2025 and 2027, depending on what the Saints are willing to pay. Now, the interesting thing is the Giants, as of right now, have a ton of money to spend in 2026. So that's something to think about. Saints are willing to, depending upon how much the Saints are willing to pay if there was a trade. Now, it might wind up being, right, it could, let's say, Similarly, Big Blue's exact trade ask is unclear, although any draft capital sent to New Orleans would no doubt depend on the financial burden that the Giants take on. So basically, yeah, I mean, it's like, well, he's owed $50 million this season. I'll tell you what. You give us a second, right, and we'll eat 40 million of that 50 million. If you send us a third, we'll eat half of it. We'll eat 25 million. You got to take 25. It'll be something like that. You send us a fourth round pick for him, we'll eat 10 million of it. You know what I mean? So it's like, how much? What do you want to pay out? To save on. But the Giants do have a lot of money next season. If you look like a spot track and over the cap and all that stuff, they got a lot of money to spend. As of right now, next season. So that's something to think about. But, the Giants put a trade for Derek Carr. I said they couldn't, they can't bring him in for $40 million and pay him $40 million this year because then they'd have no cap space. I mean, they'd have to be restructuring all kinds of guys and stuff like that. It just wouldn't make much sense. So, but I mean, if you look here with Carr, I mean, he's played 169 games in his 11-year career. He's 33. He'll be 34 this upcoming season. Last year on a bad team, he was 5-5. He completed 67.7% of his passes. He had 2,145 yards, 15 touchdowns, only 5 interceptions. The year before that with the Saints, he played in all 17 games. Completed 68% of his passes. 3,878 yards, 25 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. He's had 257 touchdown passes in his career, 112 interceptions. Under 2% interception rate, right? He's had over 41,000 passing yards. So I mean, if he plays another 5 at the rate he's going, I mean, he should have. By the time he retires, I don't know, 5 years, 6, who the heck knows? I don't know. He could easily have 50, 60,000 yards passing. So, once again, with him, is he Patrick Mahomes? No. Is he Josh Allen? No. Is he, but is he a good bridge quarterback? Yeah, absolutely. I think he's better than Darnold. Absolutely. It's just that the Giants just can't take on a heavy burden right now. Especially at the financial burden, shall we say. Bringing this up right here, right? So, it's one thing the Giants do. If they're drafting a quarterback, you can't reach.